So they managed to do something about the shiny Miraidon and Koraidon distribution at GameStop right now for just in the US, and unfortunately it's still crap. So earlier today we had information that codes were going to be restocked, and this time they were going to be printed on receipts, except each store has a limit of 50. The same amount that most stores got as code cards, which, as we talked about in the video before, that was the biggest problem, the number of codes that came out of this, and 50 not being enough, and honestly, like 100 not even being enough. So I can tell you without a doubt, they are doing this. I found out the news, and the first moment I had available, I went to my local GameStop. I got there, I want to say about 45 minutes before close, and I was like, hey, I heard you can print the codes out now. And they looked at me and they're like, we can only give you one. And I was just like, I'm fine with that. And I asked them, I was like, hey, is it true that like you're only doing 50 codes? And the employee reached back off the counter and pulled out what was this just 10 by 5 grid of just numbered squares. And there was Sharpie over the first couple. I think I was number like 22 at that point. But she said, yes, we are only giving out 50 a store. So, like I said, I went there about 4.5 hours after it went live, because I'm sitting here and it says 4 p.m. EST. And so I got there less than 5 hours later, and they already gave away almost half. So if you have not gotten this event, like, and I hate being like a fearmonger with stuff like that, but I would say show up to your GameStop and get a line, like, in the morning. I'm not saying like camp out there overnight. It depends on how crazy your store is, but if you want one, you might have to be there when they open, because like I said, it was only live for about 5 hours before the GameStops around me closed, and they were almost halfway done. So why still just like the 50 codes? And you know, we actually got a response when CRB.net tweeted it out. Okay, so here we have CRB.net reporting that a restock of the Scarlet and Violet, Shiny Koraidon, and Miraidon codes are now available at GameStop stores in the US. And we have a poster here from GameStop saying that on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, don't miss your chance to get a free Shiny Koraidon or Miraidon for the first time ever at GameStop. Technically, it's not the first time ever, because this poster says round 2. Just saying. But down at the bottom it says no purchase required. So please remember that if they try to make you buy stuff. But at this point, like, just buy something that's cheaper than what they're selling it for on eBay. It says while supplies last, code printed on receipt. So you're not getting the fancy, neat little card. And someone comments here, this is just contradictory. No. Why would it be while supplies last if they can just keep pumping out codes on the receipt? And CRB replied, it appears GameStop is enforcing a hard limit per store still. We are unsure why. Like, one thing I want to say is that, like, why are people harassing Joe Merrick and CRB.net about this? Like, you do know they are technically not affiliated with the Pokemon Company. They are just a site that reports on Pokemon news. They are one of the biggest. They have done sponsors, and they have gotten press stuff and early access to certain things in the past. But Joe Merrick does not work for the Pokemon Company. Quit yelling at him. And GameStop help said that decision is made by Pokemon. So GameStop is flat out passing the buck. They are saying, hey, this is what we were told by Pokemon, which if they want to keep having these events at the store, which they do because it gets people into the store and that's what GameStop wants, they have to follow the rules. And so if you see someone not following the rules, call corporate, call Nintendo of America, because GameStop does not want to mess this up. Has this been a nightmare? Absolutely. But GameStop on their side do not want to mess it up. So if someone is like not following the rules, be the one that calls corporate. I don't know what to tell you. But it is a foolish decision. But it's what GameStop is saying is that it's Pokemon's choice. And I can't validate how true this is other than the fact that stores are keeping count. They're only allowed to hand out 50 codes. At least my store was only allowed to hand out 50 codes. And when I got there, they were on like 22, I think. Like 22 were already gone. But GameStop here was also like dunking on Walmart for not having TCG scalping limits, whatever, to prevent scalping at least, while this whole Shiny Koraidon and Miraidon event was melting down on Twitter last week. So I don't know if they're completely innocent in this, but I know my store is following the rules, and they're saying right now this decision was made by Pokemon. So talk to Pokemon about it. Listen, everyone said send out support tickets. If you didn't get one, maybe send out another support ticket. But when I sent out my support ticket, they basically just said, hey, you don't have to buy anything to get the code. And it's just like, I know that. My issue is that there were not enough codes. The amount of codes was not adequate. And so this is their way of putting a Band-Aid on it, is by doing this round 2. And it's not enough. It's really not enough. And so I don't know. Like, this whole event, even their way of trying to save face about it, has been pretty bad, pretty crappy, if you ask me. And as we've seen, if we can believe GameStop help Twitter account, this was a choice made by the Pokemon company. I don't know how much Nintendo was involved in it, but this is on the Pokemon company. And I know a lot of people in the comments in the previous video was just like, why are they still doing this? And this is as much as it's not needed right now for how big Pokemon is, this is a way to build relationships with physical stores. And I know a lot of people are saying like, they don't need it anymore. They don't, but there's gonna be some point where they might. So keeping a relationship with a physical store is still really good for you. GameStop has a bunch of deals with Pokemon. They carry a bunch of Pokemon merchandise. They get Pokemon cards all the time. Like, it's a good relationship to have if you want to make sure that your stuff is in stores and people are pushing your stuff. Like I said, you really don't have to do that with Pokemon anymore. You don't, because Pokemon has been so big, especially with the TCG and with Mega Evolutions coming back. But this is still a little nuts. It's still, and I understand why they do these events. I do wish that they were online. I do wish that they saved the GameStop distributions for something a little bit more random. The flying Lechonk, and we heard people say it in the comments of the previous video that the reason why Pokemon sent out so little codes is because how so little of the flying Lechonks were redeemed. And I still think that's ridiculous to compare the shiny box legendaries of the game to a flying Lechonk, you know? Like, and a lot of people are like, oh, this is all Pokemon's fault because like this should have been online, which yeah, it should have been online. But like I said, they're still trying to keep good relationships with physical stores. Um, and you can't blame them on wanting to do that. It just sucks that this is biting us in the butt as consumers. I heard a lot of people say that, like like scalpers aren't to blame, they're just taking advantage of like a crappy situation. And even with the Pokemon cards, we've seen scalpers purposely buying up inventory to hold it. We've seen people pump cards on TCG Player. We've seen false scarcity be created by scalpers. So I feel like this is one of those situations where it was just a perfect crap storm of these codes coming the same day out as the Mega Evolutions TCG set, and it was something that scalpers looked at and they said we can use this to create scarcity. But what they didn't know is that there was already going to be scarcity. And so there's a whole lot of people to blame. There really is. Pokemon, scalpers, Nintendo probably has their hand in this. The few bad actors of the GameStops that were either handing them out early or hoarding them for friends, are manipulating the system, or are not following the rules when it comes to the distribution. Because, like I said, I thought you had to have the game. And on Friday, I went to pay off the remainder of my Pokemon Legends ZA. I still owed like $15 on it, so it was payday. I went to go pay the rest of it, and I asked the manager there. I was like, "Hey, have you heard anything about getting more code cards?" And less than 24 hours before they announced this restock of codes, being able to print them out, he was just like, "No." He's like, "We haven't heard anything." He's like, "Dude, we only got like 50. So he kind of confirmed what everyone else was saying, where they only got like 50. And he said that the place was packed for the TCG. And then because of like the posters and stuff, like in the store, people started asking for the code cards for Shiny Koraidon and Shiny Miraidon. And his way of dealing with it was like, which game do you have? And if they said that they didn't have a game, he didn't give it to them. Like, he was trying to do his best on handing out this free item and to limit the scalpers. He's like, I was only doing one per person. He's like, I was asking them if they had the game. If they didn't have the game, I wasn't giving them one. And I believe him. This is a manager that has been working at this GameStop for years. And like I said, I can't vouch for all the GameStops in the United States, but I know this one probably followed it to a T. Even when I went in for my printed code, they flat out said, we can only give you one. You are only one person. We can only give you one. Because I had my Switch. In this case. I was ready to show them that I own both copies of the game, but they flat out was just like, we can only give you one. And I was just like, I respect that. I'm fine with that. And so I know that this is not going to make a lot of people any happier. There are still going to be people that miss out on this event, and this stinks. I mean, it's still like, it's the crappiest Band-Aid. And as we've seen, according to GameStop help, like, this was a decision made by Pokemon. So I don't know why they're being so limited on these codes. It's crazy to me. I know a lot of people were just like, this is why I do Jenning bots. And honestly, if you're okay with the cloned version, if you're okay with the copy, take the copy, take the cloned version. But don't sit here and tell me, oh, it's fine, it's whatever. I play competitive. If I'm spending money to sign up for a tournament, if I'm taking the time to test and build a team, if I am going and spending money on hotels and travel to go to these tournaments, I'm not going to risk it because I want a fake shiny Mon. Sure, they can pass home, they can pass whatever. I'm not risking that money. That's just my choice. But like, don't sit there and say that like I'm foolish because I don't want a cloned Mon. That's my preference. And if if your preference is opposite of that, that's fine. Uh, but don't sit there and argue with people saying, "Whoa, this person's been caught with this before." Like, I don't care. I don't care. Don't don't turn this. Some people really in these comments try to turn this into like an argument about like Jenning and stuff, and it's just like, I've been there. I'm not doing that conversation again. Some people were talking about how like, oh, this is why like I haven't played since Dexit, and it's just like, that's cool. Why are you watching this video then? It's just criticize the company for sure. Like, this was a horrible distribution. um but get off my back about it. Get off my back about it. And some people made comments about how I said like worrying about this was a privileged thing, and I 2 points from that is, one, I understand what you're saying about like I never said that you shouldn't be mad about this. If this is something that frustrates you, you have every right to be upset about this. You really do. This situation is crap, and it's not fair to the people who are missing out on this event when this should just be a easy, free, distributed event, whether it's through code cards for everyone, pump them out until they're worthless, or a wireless event. This should be available to everyone. And two, I do think it is privilege. Like, if I am in a good enough life situation that I can worry about shiny Pokemon, like, it is. I didn't want to make people upset about that. It was just, for me, it was trying to remind myself that like life's not that bad, you know? There's other things to be concerned about, and that was more for me than to inform viewers, in all honesty. And like I said, you're completely allowed to be upset about this crap distribution, because even though they have tried to fix it, this is definitely not enough. There's definitely going to be more outrage. Is it going to be a little less? Yes. Is there still going to be people upset about this? Absolutely. Do they have the right to be upset about it? Absolutely. But man, I just want ZA to come out so we can have something else to talk about and play. I need to get back on my Reg Age stuff. I don't feel like playing the GC this weekend. Oh, and speaking of the global challenge, I feel like Pokemon has been botching stuff left and right. We have the Miraidon and Koraidon codes, which was a mess. We have the global challenge signups being scrapped because they introduced another tournament for the following week. Now you can't sign up for the next tournament because they had to bring back the global challenge. And then with the 7-star raids for Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant, the way they coded the game, you could only get access to one 7-star raid because like the games weren't made to have more than one 7-star raid going on at one time. So holy crap, it's just been bad. It's just been bad. And I want to hope that it's because, you know, this game Scarlet and Violet, it's running on Steam. There's not much left in the tank because they're getting ready for ZA. But still, at this point in the game's life, to have like these situations like come up where like you're making signing up for official online tournaments difficult because you can't host more than one tournament at the same time. Like the fact that someone at the Pokemon Company didn't go, oh yeah, we can't do that beforehand. Like, how did someone not catch that? The issue with the 7-star raids, like, how did someone not catch that? Like, I'm hoping it's because they're all working to make ZA a great game. But at the same time, like, even for like Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, these things should have been handled. Like, these things should not have happened with the online tournaments and the 7-star raids. It's nuts. But did you get a code? Let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully people don't yell at me. I have no control over that this was not a Wi-Fi event. I have no control over how many codes your GameStop had. I have no control over how many are on eBay. Just like, vent, but be nice to me in the comments down below. But that's going to be all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, I'll see everyone later.